Hi. Today we are going to discuss about payloads. Today I'm going to discuss about the payloads in today's session in context to the migration of the projects. So before I'm getting into the payloads part, let me explain you what exactly payloads are all about and in what way payloads are important, especially whenever we are migrating projects. As we all know, whenever we are migrating the projects from the old legacy systems to the new application, especially whenever we are working on some insurance projects, all that, right? So there will be different legacy applications we use. So from legacy applications to the new applications, whenever there is a migration generally taking place. So in spite of migration of the projects, we are migrating from old systems to the new application and all, even data migration should also be taken into consideration. So normally this is a kind of application framework which majorly uh, increases the development process for any people who are working on the migration part of the project. What are the migration part of the projects and all? This is what something which people uses. The major advantage under the payroll is to uh, connect with different databases where if there is any kind of formats or if you want to register any vehicle details, all that, right? Maybe in context to insurance part I'm talking about, right? So insurance, for example, when we are registering or when we are adding any details in context to the insurance applications, like for example, any new vehicle details we need to update, right? Either it can be a commercial vehicle or it can be an non-commercial vehicle, right? So those details has to be updated. So different payloads is what something which we create. So in regard to that, majorly whatever the database storage, like the kind of data we are using in any of the database, either it can be PostgreSQL or MongoDB, right? So every whatever the database we are using, this payload is what something which is useful and we can use it. At the same time, this is also something which will be used to store, retrieve, and manipulate the data using different APIs, all that, right? Or it can be RESTful APIs or something, GraphQLs, all that. Even at the same time, even authentications, right? So if you want to complete the required functionalities like registration or email verifications, login, password resets, at the same time, accessing the control over the data based on the documentations, file storage, access controls, all these things can be done using this payload, right? So this is what something which normally we use whenever we are working on the payloads concept. In regard to this, whenever we are working on the payload application, payload, this is what something which I'm showing you, right? So let's say, for example, I'm taking a use case wherein you can take, right? So I'm just going to create a template in context to the payload here, right? So whenever the website I have taken is called, the template which I'm taking is called website. Okay. Website is what something as a template I'm taking on, right? So when we are selecting a template here, we need to clone the template. So if you want to clone the template here, we need to go for installing a GitHub app. This is what something which we need to connect with, right? So I'm already using my credentials over here. So wherein to use this payload CMS and all that, and only with selected repositories, we need to select the repository. As I already created a repository for Kubernetes, all that. That's what something I have selected where we are doing this installation and authorization is what something we are doing now. So in this regard, what normally happen whenever we are working on the GitHub, because GitHub is a repository wherein to install, right? So whatever the installation we want to do and all everything, that installation can be done that, right? So using that, we can do this. What are the installations do we require, right? So what are the installations we want to do? Everything can be done over here. So here you can see there is a repository name, right? So we need to select the repository name called website one, right? Okay, that's what generally I have taken, right? So here you can see if you want us to create a private repository for existing application, whatever we are working on. And when we are going to create any kind of templates, what we are working, right? So how this can be managed, right? So what are the different elements which we are including in it, right? Let's say, for example, the website was taken, right? So, right, so we can create a repository name called, right, Rajworks, right? So Rajworks is available, right? So I'm just taking it. So this is how and what. Usually this cloning payload CMS, you can see template cloned successfully. You are now being redirected. So if you want to configure a project or if you want to use the free trial, right? Because we have an option where we can go for free trials. So whatever the free trials we have and all, using those free trials and all that. So whatever the configurations we want to do, whatever the work we want to perform, right? So all these things can be done using this payload applications. This is how generally these configurations can be done. So once the configuration of the project, here we have to mention all the project details, followed by the kind of region, what was your project name, right? So at the same time, I have given a name called Rajworks, the work which we are doing now in context to the payload here. So at the same time, even repository name was already mentioned. Here you can see repository as a line one or Rajworks was found, right? That's what generally the repository name which was created. At the same time, the kind of default domain which was created on Rajworks is this, right? So payload cms.app is what something which is created, which is available. So based on that, this creation of integration in context to the projects we are working on payload is what something we can do it. So this is something when we are connecting with any kind of CMS content management system or creating any kind of websites and all that. This payload is what something which normally we use, which majorly used as I mentioned you, right? So whenever we are working on this, it's already mentioned here. Whenever we are working on the application, whatever the kind of extensibilities or reusabilities in context to the authentications, content localizations, even local file storages, right? So at the same time, if you want to create any kind of field configuration logic securities, right? So at the same time, array field types, right? So all these things can be created using the websites and all everything is what something we can do in using all this. This is what generally the concept of payload extensively used when we are working on the migration projects, whenever we are working on legacy systems to the new applications, when we are migrating. So to complete the field details, right? So databases and all everything. This is what something which normally we use when we are working on the projects, all that, right? So this is all about the session today, how this can be done, how this can be implemented. That part I'm going to discuss in the next session. Okay. If you have any questions, please post me in the group. Thank you.